Hello, and welcome to this week's Movie Math, where I'm back, baby, after a week off. And while I was away, every single day, starting on Tuesday through Friday even, you know how rare it is for trailers to drop on a Friday? At least one trailer dropped every single day. Don't worry, I'm going to go over all the trailers that I missed on tomorrow's live stream. But for me, after a while, it became comical. I just had to laugh. Hilarious. But for some of you, you found it puzzling. And in fact, one of you even tweeted me, why are so many trailers dropping this specific week? Besides the fact that whenever I go away, they seem to drop a lot of trailers. But so the question was, like, for the movie trailers, the Warner Brothers Max ones were because there was like some presentation. But with the movie trailers, was it really to play in front of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire? It was! That's exactly why they did it. Why? Well, the last Ghostbusters opened when the pandemic was just starting to wind down, back in November 2021, right before Thanksgiving. And it had one of the best openings of the year. So surely Hollywood thought, now that we're out of the pandemic, audiences will show up big time for this new Ghostbusters. And they wanted their trailer in front of that audience. As you can see, there's a little bit of a similarity, in terms of the vibe, particularly for Beetlejuice. That Beetlejuice teaser, though, was way too short. Too short, and they released, I'll tell you my thoughts on this really quick because they're quick. And then the Entertainment Weekly first look a few days before were the only two main shots in the trailer. So that was ridiculous. But as for Ghostbusters, Boffo opening, well, it kind of materialized. Not really. It wasn't a disaster. And, these people still got their trailers. These studios still got their trailers in front of a lot. But they didn't need to, rush out for this. Frozen Empire opened a scooch above Afterlife. Theaters were sweating out the poor pre-sales. They were like, ooh, this is looking bad. But luckily, there was a ton of walk-up business. For a hot minute, it looked like the movie might open with a 3 in front of it, which would have been an absolute disaster. This isn't great either. But at least, Ghostbusters can still hold its head high. However, it turns out people kind of high, because people only thought the movie was okay. But better than Madam Web, heading in the right direction, Sony. What's going on over there? All right, so anyway. So don't look for Frozen Empire to have a real nice pair of legs. I mean, we'll see how bad Godzilla x Kong is. The review embargo lifts on Thursday, the day of release. Not when the first showtimes start, but just a few hours beforehand. I don't think we can even tweet about it. I haven't seen it yet. I'm seeing it early this week. I think they're letting us see it in IMAX, though, although a baby IMAX, because nobody's willing to give up the big IMAXs just yet. All right, but with 2 creative clunkers in a row, come on. Just when it seemed like Hollywood was back on track, then they're going to finish March really weak. But Silver Lining City, that could open up a real window of opportunity for, let's say, Monkey Man and then Civil War in early April. Heck, let's even go beyond that. April's actually got a lot of interesting movies slated to open. And if mega franchises, Ghostbusters and Godzilla, are both soft, let's be nice, that leaves April open for some potential and welcome box office surprises. I'm not saying some of these movies still won't do the bulk of their business on digital, but you might have, I'm suspecting that audiences want new. I think the nostalgia thing might be a little played out, and it's partially Hollywood's fault for not doing a great job with it. But I think people want new stuff. So here's some new. I mean, let's see. I think Monkey Man and probably Civil War are your best bets for April. Maybe challengers, but there could be something really good. There could be some, as I said, a lot. I'm not saying you're going to have like some big blowout, but a lot of little bon mots make for a delicious little snack. Before we'll see how the Fall Guy does. Can the Fall Guy really kickstart off the summer movie season? I am real curious to see if it can. It's really hurting me to hold on to those Fall Guy tickets, by the way, with my AMC A-list. Ooh. All right, so which April movies are you interested in seeing in theaters? I'm curious. All right, so with this debut, though, Sony can now boast that Ghostbusters is a billion-dollar franchise, and they are using that headline. They're like, this box office opening is only okay, but there's $1 billion in here since 1984. And you're like, hooray. I mean, Well, most franchises are way past $1 billion, so I guess it's nice. This is a new $1 billion club we've never heard of before, and I don't even know if we really care about it. But I guess, again, Sony wants that headline. So, and also, $1 billion franchise they don't know what to do with. All right, let's have a little fun here. So unfortunately, because I was traveling, I did not get to see Frozen Empire. Yet based on the lukewarm reaction, it would seem to suffer from the exact same problem that has plagued Star Wars. And Star Wars has had this problem for a while, so it's pretty surprising that, I guess it made a ton of money, but I guess, it was, it's weird that Star Wars continued to make so much money, even though everybody said it was not good. But Ghostbusters, I don't know, I guess Ghostbusters is doing okay, right? At least so far. But the problem, obviously, is trying to include both original and new characters at the same time. But at the end of the day, therefore not really including any, because there isn't enough time to develop any of these characters, old and new, or to give them any compelling storylines. You could just tell from the poster. If your poster looks like this, you have too many characters. Also, do we really want teen Ghostbusters? I thought it was only going to be for one movie. I didn't know I was signing up for a whole franchise of teenage Ghostbusters, the kid Ghostbusters. There's that Hollywood think, Hollywood has this idea that if there's a kid in the movie, that families or children will be more interested. They're like, oh, look, it's for you. There's somebody like you in the movie. But I think everybody remembers when they were a kid liking the movies that really, to a degree, but I think people liked a lot of movies that didn't have any kids in it. So, And then also, this Ghostbusters research and development team, didn't they try that gag in the 2016 film and it fell flat on its face? And isn't the original concept all the way back to the Bob Hope movie that it was Bob Hope, right? I think it was Bob Hope or somebody else, but that they were supposed to be exterminators? That's the gag. There are no child exterminators. I guess, does child labor show up during the movie? I don't know. I didn't see it. But it is families that saved this movie. So let's talk about this, right? I'll be curious to hear your thoughts. So especially with the Saturday spike that kept it on track to at least match a little bit above the last movie's debut. Again, as I said at the beginning of the weekend, it looked like it might have a 3 in front of it. This is fascinating. Over half of Ghostbusters' business was matinees and under 35. That's incredible. And the movie leaned a little male, and the diversity demos were okay. I think the African-American number could have been a little bit better, but these are fine. But in transitioning Ghostbusters into a family franchise, is Sony actually leaving money on the table? What do you think? Family movies can make a lot of money. But to me, when you look at the strength in the matinees, that means that the evening shows are not doing well. To me, obviously, that's a mistake. Ghostbusters night shows should be doing really well. It's kind of sad to actually think that Ghostbusters would become a matinee franchise, but whatever. All right, now when it comes to who Hollywood's going to call Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is a list, it seems, of who not to call. Oh, here comes some shade. All right, so while Jason Reitman might be Ivan Reitman's son, it's pretty clear he doesn't have his late father's eye for mainstream content. Ivan Reitman didn't bat 1,000 either, but he did better than this. And Greta Gerwig being able to jump, I bring her up all the time because she should be brought up. But for her being able to make, and here's some truth though, her being able to make the jump from art house movies to mainstream is extremely rare. It does not mean every art house director can do it. We don't even know if she can do it again. I'm still holding my breath. I'm not sure. But I'm thinking it's pretty clear Jason Reitman doesn't know how to make a commercial movie. And handing the new film over to Gil Kenan, I don't care how good friends they are, or if Gil Kenan co-wrote the last one. With the new Poltergeist film alone on his resume, Sony should have been like, no, I'm sorry. Buy him a nice gift, Jason. He's your friend, not mine. And while it is kind of show friends, by the way, but show business is the saying you use to get out of having to make your friends sad. All right, that's true. Because friends are very important. Hollywood is very much a town of who you know. But then when you have to burn someone, you just say, show business, not show friends. I'll see you next time, Gil. Don't ruin my franchise. All right, and while I love me some Paul Rudd, I truly do. Dude clearly can't open a movie. He's got to be sweating after this in Quantumania. And I love do I love Carrie Coon? I like Carrie Coon. I really like her on Gilded Age. I don't really know how I feel about her outside of that. But even Gilded Age, you just barely got a season 3 renewal. Thank goodness. Please watch that show. So good. But Paul, who's in your movie? Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon? Whose dumb idea was that? Jason Reitman and Gil Keenan's. Now, when you think about how Ghostbusters Frozen Empire was actually engineered not to be successful, it's pretty impressive it opened as big as it did. Imagine what a strong mainstream commercial filmmaker could do with it. Who would you give Ghostbusters to? You know who I would call? This is who I'd call. I'd call up Loki season 2 head writer. I mean, he worked on the first season, but Eric Martin. And I wouldn't necessarily say he could direct, but I wouldn't even guarantee him the gig. But I'd say, do you want to take a crack at this, Eric? I like, the TVA, Ghostbusters, some similarities, right? That's why it might not work out. But I'd try it. I think maybe he could bring the adults back. And no cast member. I want this to be very much Ghostbusters. That's another thing. Well, I don't know. Marvel hires everybody, so I guess every film kind of feels like Marvel Light. All right, so anyway. And Dune continues to be Dune really well. I can't keep making Lisa Nalgaib references every week, even though it continues to be the box office prophecy. Another incredible hold. Look at that. Still at number 2. Kung Fu Panda is the one that, fell over it to number 3. Kung Fu Panda 4, by the way, probably did suffer from losing out some families to Ghostbusters. And Dune 2 is closing in on 600 million worldwide. Will it catch Wonka? I know some of you who are Dune fans are like, how is it behind Wonka? Well, Wonka is a film that everybody loved. That's a 4-quadrant film, families. If Wonka had that really nice big window after the holidays that we've talked about, that really benefited Wonka. Nothing came out for 2 months. You wanted to go to a movie, you either saw Wonka again or you caved. But we'll see. I mean, it's nice for Timothy Chalamet and Warner Brothers. He's basically going to have 2 $600 million movies in the span of just a few months. That's incredible. And Dune 2 continues to do boffo business in IMAX. In fact, there's a great quote from about maybe opening weekend. But the IMAX CEO said the only reason that Dune wasn't making more money on IMAX was because they ran out of seats. Oh, it's beautiful. What a beautiful business headline for the IMAX quarterly report. And also, to maybe have a thing saying they should make some more IMAX theaters? What's it going to take? I mean, I know it's expensive to build one, and some of them suck. They're not legit IMAXs, but come on. I mean, I think they really should invest in this. Although, what would they do for the next few weeks although Civil War is going to IMAX? That's pretty exciting. All right, so anyway, and Dune 2, while it held on to the IMAX at AMC Lincoln Square, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire got the Dolby. And that was so successful at that New York City theater. I told you, that's the place to see movies in New York City because it's got the best IMAX and the best Dolby in the city. That was the biggest venue for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire in the entire country. Again, why is there only one movie theater in all of New York City that has good theaters? Why don't you build some other ones? 2 other movies opened this weekend. That's right, they did. The one was Sydney Sweeney's Immaculate. I mean, they barely opened, but there's actually some interesting stuff here. So Sydney Sweeney's Immaculate, which opened pretty close to Anyone But You. Surely she and her team are like, maybe it'll have the same staying power. But no, I mean, not only does not have the same window that Wonka benefited from, but look at this audience score. I mean, the C is okay for a horror film for cinema score, but that Rotten Tomatoes audience score is not good. But hey, Anyone But You, still at the top of the digital charts. Still. So Sweeney can continue to ride that success. The other new movie that opened stars character actor David Dastmalchian in a very rare leading role. And the fact that it was able to really open it all, I mean, it's incredible. Look, I mean, this is a really piddly opening, but for David Dastmalchian and for what I think IFC Films, that's like, oh my goodness, that's a miracle. Now, I'm not saying Dastmalchian is going to start getting more leading roles in big movies, but if I were a streaming service, I would call up his agent, or I'd see if I had anything in development that he might be a good match for. I think he could lead a streaming show, a low-budget one. But clearly, I mean, he was a great Polka Dot Man. But overall, I'm not a big David Dastmalchian fan, but I thought he really nailed it with Polka Dot Man. And clearly some people are interested in him. So yeah, maybe I'd give him a streaming show is what I would do. As for the rest of the top 10, Arthur the King is ready to go to digital. And to be honest, so are Imaginary, Love Lies Bleeding, and Cabrini. Let's clear the deck. They're out of steam. Particularly Love Lies Bleeding, which added theaters, almost 500 theaters, yet still went down and saw its per theater average drop below 1,000. I mean, get out of here before it gets embarrassing. Get yourself a nice digital headline. Or a streaming headline or something. All right, let's head over to streaming, where we'll discuss Nielsen numbers in just a moment. But first, yes, Variety has launched its competing charts, which are weird. They run Thursday to Thursday for just last week. That is a very odd window, as it excludes the weekend for content that just dropped. Case in point, look how bad this makes Roadhouse look. But that's just one day of viewership. And with that in mind, that's actually huge. So if I were I think, they have some nice little factors here. They list some of the talent, the streaming service, the percentage drop, or how it's holding. That's all real nice. But if I were at Prime Video, I'd be like, why'd you got to make Roadhouse look so bad, man? At launch, they also only cover original shows and original movies, at least not behind their paywall, which I think is also an issue because then you totally would have missed the Suits phenomenon. I mean, you got to see how the other stuff is competing with the originals, because the originals are not in their own pond. They're in there swimming with all the other fishies. All right, so we'll see. We'll keep an eye on these Variety charts and how they compare to Nielsen once Nielsen catches up to get an idea of how valid and effective they are. Now, over to Nielsen. For a month ago, you got to pick up the speed, Nielsen, or Variety is going to kick your butt. Avatar has finally hit their charts, and this is a very nice number, especially compared to all the other stuff that's out there. Again, doing a lot better than everybody else, and it makes the season 2 and 3 renewal seem even more understandable. You're like, that is a very nice number. Let's go. Now, it's got a 2 in front of it. You know how the last time we saw something with a 2 in front of it on Nielsen? It's been a minute. Netflix is also doing nicely with the new season of Warrior, one of those shows they rescued from Max. At the end of the day, all shows apparently end up on Netflix. Either they save a canceled show, or someone blinks and, does a streaming deal with them like Warner Brothers, Zazie did. It's actually kind of funny. For Netflix it is. All right, True Detective has also been able to stay on the overall chart. And this, by the way, is just after season 4 wrapped. So I would like it to be a little higher because you would think this to me shows everybody watched it week to week. And most, with HBO, it's still appointment television on Sunday nights, and people aren't really waiting to binge, which is fascinating. Netflix and HBO, I think, really have carved out their best little spaces, and everybody else is still trying to figure out what to do. And as you can see, lots of Suits-like shows and Suits continue to thrive. On the originals chart, Netflix, again, has been able to blow up, this time, someone else's show with The Tourist. They didn't make that show. Again, they're just making it a hit, is what they're doing. What's that guy? Jamie Dornan. You got to work more, Jamie Dornan. He's probably pretty happy. While weekly shows continue to play a long, different game from binge drops, they're like, we're still trudging along, man. We're still in it. I mean, their numbers are super low. Prime Video's Mr. and Mrs. Smith was a binge, though, and that is still on this chart 3 weeks out. So that's real nice. With movies, again, this chart is really sad. Nothing really great's come along in a while either. Tyler Perry was able to claim number 1, but this minutes viewed number isn't good enough for where his brand is supposed to be. If I were Netflix, I'd call him up and I'd be like, what's with this crappy number, man? What? I'm not paying Tyler Perry money for this minutes viewed number. But look at this number. Damsel exploded in its first full week on Netflix's charts, which, of course, again, Netflix is very quick, just last week. The last time, you're going to love this, Millie Bobby Brown fans. The last time a Netflix movie came close to this number was Leave the World Behind, full of movie stars and Oscar winners. And Millie Bobby Brown's week 2 is higher. She's still higher than that. Wowza. Her agent is going to be able to get her something good off of this for sure on Netflix and maybe even beyond that. I wasn't so sure after her Godzilla movies didn't do so well, right? Was she ready for a theatrical? Maybe she's still not, but I'd give it another go considering how strong this number is. And also back to Netflix, who of course is not only excited about her being in next Stranger Things, which they're still filming, But I'd give her a multi-picture deal off this. She might even have a little bit of one left over because she does the Enola movies for them and this. But I'd add like 2 or 3 more to it. I'd be like, never leave, Millie Bobby Brown, never leave. And they are the one who, dance with the one who brung ya. And they, of course, are the ones who made Millie Bobby Brown. However, it seems their magic is not working on Lindsay Lohan. She is not making a comeback after all. If I were Disney, if I saw this number, she should hide this number from them because, they want to make another Freaky Friday. And she and Jamie Lee Curtis have been pushing that like nobody's business, especially considering how well the new Hocus Pocus did. Too bad the new Hocus Pocus I hope Freaky Friday 2 is better than that. But anyway, this number is not great. Even, Damsel had 35 million views in its opening weekend. And, I'd be maybe Freaky Friday is a different kind of thing. It's a sequel. Jamie Lee Curtis would be in it. It would probably do better. But at the very least, it would bring down Lindsay. But you can't make it without Lindsay Lohan. I was saying it was going to bring down her price tag, but I think I don't know. This number's not great. I tried. I hope maybe I don't know. I guess you might just be stuck because I want to make Freaky Friday too if I were a Disney executive, and I can't make it without her. So save that money, Lindsay. All right, over with shows. The Gentleman stayed on top with Avatar still right below it. And while The Gentleman had a weaker debut than Griselda, the second week is on par. It didn't catch up to Griselda, but the second week being on par is not shabby. So with Netflix being a little forgiving right now because they just want to have new content in the pipeline, maybe I would greenlight a Gentleman season 2, especially since the show seems pretty inexpensive to make. It's pretty much all shot on one estate. Nobody on that cast is that expensive. And I bet they're already sewed up for second. Today's a lot of thinking on today's movie math. Right? So what would you do? What would you do? All right, then with iTunes, There's Anyone But You still at number 1. That is incredible. And Sony is helping it stay up there as it's on sale right now to own for just $10. It's a fun movie. It's worth $10 if you want to watch it. Hunger Games is also on sale to own, even cheaper. And it's nice to see the Bob Marley movie, which just dropped, pretty high up there. And Iron Claw, now available to rent, which I highly recommend. And wow, what is it about Land of Bad? It had a heartbeat at the box office, and now it has one on digital. Has anyone watched it? Anyone? Did anyone see that movie? Someone's watching it. Russell Crowe, do you still have the haze of a career? All right, Argyle is starting to slip, so it should end up on Apple as their streaming service pretty soon. As for this coming week, yes, Godzilla x Kong is stomping into theaters. Will you actually go? There are some really I know there are some diehard Godzilla Kong fans out there. I hear from you guys. You're really trying to support this movie. Can you do it? At the very least, it's taking away Ghostbusters Dolby screens and probably a few IMAXs, definitely the ones that Ghostbusters was able to get their hands on, and maybe a few more from Dune. Wicked Little Letters, which Sony Pictures Classics, by the way, decided to keep out of last year's Oscars race. It debuted on the 2023 festival circuit, but hasn't hit theaters until now. It's already been playing in the UK. Hey, are you in the UK? Was it good? I was thinking of maybe seeing this. And it opens in limited release here in the US this weekend. On digital on Tuesday, there's Ordinary Angels finally coming out. Maybe something else. Sometimes there's a surprise. And as for streaming movies on Friday, Netflix has The Beautiful Game, Disney Plus has documentary film Madou, and Apple TV also has themselves a documentary about the career of Steve Martin. This one seems interesting. It has 2 different tracks in the documentary. It'll follow his career when he blew up for the first time early on, and then also what it's like for him today now that he's having a comeback himself, sorry Lindsay Lohan, with Only Murders in the Building. He's having quite the comeback. That could be really interesting. They're getting some good documentaries over there at Apple. Wasn't the Michael J. Fox one over there? All right, then with series, on Thursday, Hulu has the first 3 episodes of We Were the Lucky Ones, and Prime Video is debuting not just a new season of American Rust, Broken Justice, what a title, but also a faith-based family drama. Isn't it interesting to see more and more, mainstream companies and studios trying to get into this space? It's called The Baxters, and, sometimes, the studios don't ring true with the faith-based audience, but Roma Downey is in this. And Roma Downey, isn't she married to Mark Burnett? I think the guy who's produces all the big reality TV stuff and is, I believe, let's just say conservative. But anyway, I think that's the case. But Roma Downey is definitely starring in this, and she's huge in the faith-based space. The Touched by an Angel, and a whole bunch of stuff she's done. She's produced some movies as well. So this could be really big for Prime Video. Let's keep an eye on this. I'm very curious about expanding this space, in mainstream Hollywood. And on Friday, Is It Cake returns, while real-life couple Ewan McGregor and Mary Elizabeth Winstead reteam yet again. They should be careful. Don't reteam too much, because then we know you're just doing it for vacation money and to be together instead of maybe the quality of the project, for A Gentleman in Moscow. I like both of them a lot, but they don't have to always be together. Disney Plus is experimenting yet again with a binge drop, this time for Renegade Nell, and Jared Carmichael has his own reality show debuting on HBO and Max. And that's this week's Movie Math. What have you been watching? What do you plan to watch? How do you think Ghostbusters opened? And what are your expectations for Godzilla x Kong? Share those thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.